So I asked you all here today to tell you about some important arrests that we made recently. February 23rd, last Thursday, joint operation had been going on between the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office, narcotics and SWAT units, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, as well as the U.S. Department of Homeland Security into illegal firearms and narcotics that were being dealt in the Lafayette area. In the 600 block of Berlin in the Ildecon's apartment complex, a raid was conducted on 4 different apartments, all within the same building, but they were hit simultaneously, and the following suspects were arrested in conjunction with that raid. The first one, do we have them up here on the screen? Yeah. So the first one is Daniel Paz Ibarra, 46-year-old Mexican national, and was booked on various charges, all of which are in your media packet. The most significant things I want y'all to take from this are that dealing in unregistered or illegally transferred weapons, as well as the possessions of various controlled substances and the dealing of those controlled substances, which was confirmed through investigation. Let's go to Atanasio. Atanasio Rivera Alvarado, a 49-year-old Mexican national, booked on possession with intent to distribute cocaine, money from drug proceeds, as well as the possessions of the firearms in conjunction with controlled substances. And lastly, Florentino Arriaga, a 47-year-old Mexican national, again, dealing in unregistered or illegally transferred weapons. All 3 of these are Mexican nationals. All 3 of these are here illegally. They have no right to be lawfully present in the United States. They're living in our community, they were dealing drugs, and they were dealing guns. I appreciate our partners. I have a representative I want to briefly introduce from the Department of Homeland Security, Special Agent Parker Dipple, and I'll leave it up to him when I'm done answering your questions, whether he wants to take any questions at all. So what did we seize? Go ahead and go to the evidence slide. We got it right there. Okay. We seized a large amount of narcotics, which is nothing really, unusual about that, other than this was a significant amount of narcotics, about 650 MDMA tablets, about 130 grams of marijuana, 57 grams of cocaine, various other smaller amounts of illegal narcotics and prescription medication that was there illegally were also obtained. What is more significant in conjunction with this, whereas we normally have a commensurate number of firearms proportional to the people, to the bad guys involved. In this case, we seized 50 firearms from this operation. And of the 50 firearms, 6 of them were stolen locally in various vehicle burglaries or burglaries. So you have 6 of these weapons that were recovered, stolen locally. You have a total of 50. Some people don't report their guns whenever they're stolen. They don't always have the information. They don't always think that they're going to be recovered. So I would suspect, based on my experience, that a significant number of these guns were stolen here locally. And who knows where they were headed, but this is a very significant step that was taken by this multi-agency investigation to take illegal guns off the street and to stop the flow of weapons into the hands of the people who are doing violence in our communities. And that is the main reason I wanted to report this to you all today. We did seize a significant amount of cash. You can see in the pictures behind me. We're not done counting it yet. We actually have it at a financial institution being counted. There's a lot of loose change as well, so we don't have a final number on what we seized, but we will be applying to have that forfeited and put that back into the fight on crime here locally. I'll be happy to take any questions and answer them as best I can. Yes, ma'am.
How long have you guys been working together before you guys conducted the raid of this?
We've been working together on various investigations for the past several years. As far as on this investigation, I'm not at liberty to say it is an ongoing case, but this is a common thing that we've actually increased in the last couple of years. The FBI wasn't part of this one, but we also partner heavily with the FBI here locally as well. Yes, ma'am.
Can we give an estimate of how long these men were operating in the community?
Well, it's a very good question. So Mr. Ibarra was arrested by November of 2022 for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and that case is currently pending at the district attorney's office. The Alvarado gentleman was previously arrested in 2007 for OWI and various traffic charges, was by all indications deported. The only record I have access to, it said immigration proceedings were conducted in 2009, which the timeline works out about right. As a prosecutor, I did deport after prosecuting several foreign nationals per month, it seemed like, but certainly I was very prolific at doing that. Once they had been convicted or adjudicated in some kind of way through a plea deal, then we would take the additional step with customs and with immigration, to go ahead and get them deported under the criminal charge rather than just deported civilly. I find it interesting that, I believe he was deported and has been back here. Mr. Arriaga went through removal proceedings in 1999 in Dallas, Texas, and is back in the United States, obviously, and up to no good. So a while, depending on who we're talking about. Yes, ma'am.
Are we able to say generally how they came on the radar?
We are on a continuing basis conducting active investigations. Some we see to their fruition. Some may transition into other larger long-term investigations. And when the commanders that I have in charge of my narcotics unit and my intelligence units determine, along with their partners from other agencies, that it is time to execute a particular target, execute search warrants or make arrests or so forth, then we do so. But it's really difficult to define. It's an excellent question, but it's very difficult to put some parameters on that because each set of circumstances has to be taken as its own set and looked at uniquely because of where else it might lead. So in this case, the players in it felt like it was time, I think, given the pros and cons of taking action, and go ahead and take action on this particular group.
Do we know of any, you may not be able to say this, but do we know of any cases where guns they've run have been used in locally?
I do not presently know that. If it comes to light, and it seems significant, I don't mind sharing that at all. It is a significant amount of firearms here, for sure. There was also, I forgot to mention, there was a homemade suppressor that was able to be affixed and was affixed to one of the shorter rifles. So that's another very illegal device without having the permission or an actual tax stamp from the ATF. It's illegal in and of itself to possess. And there were no automatic Glock switches. There were no automatic weapons. Kind of surprised about that, frankly, with the proliferation that we've been seeing as of late. But maybe that's a good thing, that there were no automatic Glocks.
I'm not familiar with guns, what were the type of weapons y'all confiscated in those pictures?
There were just AK-47s, shotguns, various handguns. It looked like they were stealing. They had whatever they could steal. I suspect, like I mentioned earlier, that most of these were stolen or purchased locally. But typically, the bad guys just steal guns. They don't go buy them. That's why the proposed gun control methods it doesn't really ring true because they're just going to go steal it. They're criminal. Yes, sir.
This is probably going off in the weeds or all further into your investigation. Are there any known cartel ties between these three men and the drugs that were found?
It's a great question. It's really not something we're at liberty to discuss right now either way. That's something we're always looking for. And I think it's been established that the cartels are operating in the United States. But as far as a direct tie to the cartel, that's one of the first questions that I asked my supervisors. And right now we're not in a position to discuss that either way. Yeah.
I mean, as far as everything that you guys found, has it been linked to anything outside the parish, or is this all?
Yeah, these are the stolen guns were stolen from inside the parish and outside the parish, but all in the Acadiana area. Yeah, and they're obviously this is a regional drug dealer. He's not just dealing in the city of Lafayette or the parish of Lafayette. Crime is a regional problem. I've said that for years. And so this is the kind of target that I like to go after. Somebody with some assets that we can seize and put back in the fight on crime. You know, that's somebody who's actually going to make a difference and move the needle as far as our fight, as opposed to a street level dealer that may or may not ever be prosecuted, and it just seems to clog up our judicial system.
Since this was a joint operation, can we give kind of an overview of the role everybody played?
Well, it's in this particular case, again, excellent question. Love the way you think, but I would not want to do that in really any case, especially one that's ongoing, because it would reveal our tactics, techniques, and procedures. What I can tell you is that you know, tips originate either locally or from our federal partners, and they're investigated kind of by whoever's in the best position to investigate them. We work very well. In fact, prior to this meeting, I was discussing expanding the partnership with Homeland Security Investigations, with the special agent that's here today, because it's so beneficial for all agencies involved to work together on these investigations. So great question. Sorry I can't go into it deeper. All right, y'all should have some, are we going to give them some better pictures of the guns and drugs and cash and all that? We have.
Yes, we're going to
Okay.
include that when I send out the press release. I'm going to send a link to some photos of the property.
All right. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Do you want to make a statement at all, sir?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate you covering this.